This conference will now be recorded.
Now, so in the last session, we have discussed how can we prepare the SOQL queries and how can we execute it by using query editor and how can we see the results we have discussed. And along with that, how can we prepare the query and how can we execute it by using Apex programming also we have discussed. So as part of Apex programming, SOQL queries has been subcategorized into two types. First one is static SOQL. Second one is dynamic SOQL. Okay. First one is static SOQL. Second one is dynamic SOQL queries. Now, as part of static SOQL queries, upon preparing the query itself, we need to specify the columns and the conditions. Whatever the columns data you would like to fetch, specify those column names upon preparing the query itself. Along with that, we have to specify the conditions. What conditions you would like to apply to filter the records, those conditions also we have to specify upon preparing the query itself. But at runtime, we can't add the column names, we can't add the conditions at runtime to your static SOQL query because the query will be fixed query. We can't change it. We can't include some more columns, we can't include some more conditions at runtime. So whenever I'm preparing the SOQL queries as part of static SOQL, once the query is ready, which has been enclosed inside that square braces, okay, which has been enclosed inside that square braces, the query will be executing automatically. All the static SOQL queries will be always enclosing inside that square braces, which is indicating this query is a fixed query which can't include any columns, which can't include any conditions at runtime. The query will be the fixed. So whenever I'm enclosing the query inside that square braces, automatically query will be executing by its own. We no need to execute that static SOQL query manually. The query will be executing automatically by default. So once the query has been executed, it returns some results to you. That means it is returning some records as the results. At that time, if the query returns only one record as a result, then we have to store that record by defining the variable of that associated type. So whatever the object record you are collecting from the database, so based on that object type, we have to define a variable. In that variable, we can able to store that result. When if the query returns only one record. If the query returns multiple record, that means more than one. It may be 2, 3, 5, 1,000, 10,000, whatever. At that time, we can able to use that list collection. Okay. By using that list collection, we can able to store that associated records. Whatever the matching records are available or whatever the collection of records written by my SOQL query, those records we can able to store by defining a list collection if the query returns more than one record, okay, as a result. Okay. So these are the two steps are available here. Clear up to now? Now let's see how can we implement this SOQL queries through programming here. Okay. Whenever I'm executing the SOQL query, we have three styles. Okay, we have three ways are available. Let me show you those three ways by using three different examples. Okay, so now let's see here. How can we prepare this SOQL query? How can we get the data? And then how can we represent the records on the debug log file? Okay, so let's take a small use case. Write an Apex program to fetch all the lead records from the object and represent on the debug log file I want to write an SOQL query in order to collect all the lead records from the object and I want to show those records on my debug log file. Screen is visible to you, or else come to this side. Madam, or else come to this side. Your seats are available. Come to this side. Now tell me how can we write this one? Tell me your approach. First of all, we need to create a class. Okay. Inside the class, prepare a procedure. Okay. And then we need to write that query. So now we need to write the query to collect all the lead records information by preparing a static SOQL query. Now, how many records my query will return? Multiple records. So how can we store those records? By defining a list collection. Okay, we need to prepare a list collection of lead records. That means list of lead. In that collection, I would like to store the records. Once the records has been getting stored, then I would like to iterate that collection from starting to ending, and then I would like to show each and every record information one by one. Okay, clear? Now, so let's see the practical part now. So I'm creating an Apex class. I'm preparing an Apex class, database helper. With this name, already a class is available. Database methods helper. So I'm creating a class with the name database methods helper. Now I would like to prepare a procedure inside this. Public static void get all lead records. So I'm preparing a method with the name get all lead records. I would like to fetch all the lead records available inside my object. Now, so now tell me how to write the code inside this now. Now tell me the steps. Now tell me list of lead. Okay. LST some leads. Now we have to write that query here. Okay, we need to specify the query inside that square braces. Now tell me the query. Select ID, first name column, last name column, email, title, phone, company, status from lead object. Okay, from lead object. Now my query is ready. Suppose if you want to split the query to the multiple lines also, then you can split it out, no problem. Okay, that possibility is available as part of SOQL query, static SOQL, only in static SOQL, not in dynamic. There we have to add plus symbol manually, but here we can directly split. Now, so now we can specify the starting braces and the ending braces. In between that, we can able to write your query with all the classes, whatever you want. That already told you as part of that SOQL query syntax, only that select statement is mandatory, remaining all the classes are optional classes. If you want, we can use it, or else we can no need to use that one. Okay, now. So what are the classes that are specified in the square braces? All the classes are optional. These are not mandatory to use. Depends upon the requirement, we can use those classes. Now, so now tell me here my query will be returning some records. How many records my query has written? How do we know? Size method, right? So now I want to show that system.debug collection size. LST leads dot size. Okay, LST leads dot size. Now we can able to see that count how many number of records that SOQL query has written to you. Okay, now so once the records are storing inside that collection, I want to display those records. How can we display? For loop. So before that, please verify. Suppose if the collection is empty, then no need to iterate that collection. For that one, I'm verifying that. If LST leads is not empty, if the collection is not empty, then only I would like to iterate that collection over here. For each and every lead record LD from the collections, I want to show that lead record information. System.debug lead ID is, I want to show the lead person's ID, lead.id. System.debug lead name is, I want to show the first name and the last name, ld dot first name, plus I'm giving some space and then I'm adding that ld dot last name. And then I want to show that system.debug the company name. Company name is ld dot company. System.debug lead status ld dot status. System.debug lead designation ld dot title. System.debug email ID ld dot email. Once the lead record information has been getting visible, I want to give you a line break so that we can segregate that lead records. Okay, now simple concept, nothing else. Just you have to prepare the query. Query will be executing automatically by its own because it is a static SOQL query. The query will be executing by its own automatically, and then it will be returning the result to you in the form of a list collection. Store those records inside the collection, and from there we can iterate the collection. We can display that. Understood the concept here? Any difficulty in this one? For loop again. Okay, now. So for example, whenever I'm going to be executing this query, the query will return some multiple records. For example, inside my lead object, I'm having some 10 records are there. So now all the 10 records will be returning by my SOQL query. So all those 10 records information is storing inside my collection. Okay, now like each and every element, that means each and every lead record will be treating like as one element inside that. No, I want to collect each and every record from that collection. I want to display. For that one, before iterating that collection, first of all, I want to verify whether this collection is holding some records or not. If it is holding some record, that means if the collection is not empty, then I am going to be iterating that here. This is the collection where exactly the records are available. I would like to collect each and every record one by one, one by one, one by one. For that one, here I'm using a for loop to iterate that collection. So this is the collection where exactly the records are available. I'm collecting each and every record one by one. The first record it will collect, it will be placing inside the variable LD variable. From there, I'm going to be displaying that all the values here. Each record will be holding that ID value, first name value, last name, company, status. Whatever the columns you have specified, each and every column value will be there in every record. So now we can collect each record, from that record collect the values, and then we can display by using object name dot the field names here. Once the first record information has been getting visible, it will go to the for loop again to collect the second record will be getting visible. Like that, this process will be keep on continued till the last records available inside my collection here. Okay. Yes, this is a single record here. Okay, now from this LST lead, that means this is the collection. From that collection, I'm collecting each record. That each record will be storing inside a variable called as LD variable here. Okay, so now in this variable, it will be holding the complete lead record here. So now from that lead record, I'm collecting the ID value, last name value, first name value, company value, each and every field value. Okay. Clear? Now let's see the execution process here. So I'm invoking this procedure by calling this method. Call the method. I'm placing my class dot method name. Get all lead records method. I'm calling this method now. I'm invoking this method by specifying the class name dot method name because this method is a static method. Click on execute. The request has been sent to the server. It is loading the debug log file. Select the debug only checkbox. Now it is indicating that the collection size is 630. Inside my lead object, I am having 630 lead records are available. This is the first lead record information. First lead record ID, name, company name, status value, designation, and then email ID. This is the second lead record information. Third lead record information. Fourth lead record information. Like that, each and every lead record details you can able to see one by one. So all the 630 lead records information we can able to verify by using that system.debug file. Okay. So all the lead records information we can see one by one. Clear? Understood the concept here? How to fetch the data. As of now, simply we have inserted the record, but now we are collecting the data from that object. Clear? So let me place this code. Now, let's see. Let's take one more example. Done with this one? Next, take one more use case. Write an Apex program to fetch all the hiring manager records from the object and represent on the debug log file and represent on the debug log file. Write an Apex program to fetch all the hiring manager records from the object and represent on the debug log file. Now tell me, how can we write this piece of code now? So we need to prepare a method. I'm preparing one more method in the same class. I'm preparing another method inside my same class. Public static void get all HR records. Okay. So I'm preparing a method with the name get all HR records. I would like to specify that SOQL query first. Now, so now tell me how can we write this SOQL query? First of all, I'm preparing that query here. Select ID of the HR record, name, location underscore underscore C, contact number underscore underscore C, email ID underscore underscore C. From. If you want the PAN number column, then you can specify PAN number column also. PAN number underscore underscore C. From what is the object name? Hiring manager. Hiring underscore manager underscore underscore C. Now, this query will return how many records now? Multiple records. Depends upon the number of records that we have inside your object. Suppose if your object is having some 100 records, it will return all the 100. If the object is having 0 records, it is returning 0 records here. If the object is having 1 record, it will return 1 record. Depends upon the number of records, it will return all those records up to maximum of 50,000. Now, so now where we can store this records information now? List collection. List of what? Hiring manager. List of hiring manager underscore underscore C. LST HRs. Now, so now how many number of hiring manager records has been getting returned here? Now system dot debug. Okay. Now, are you writing this code? Are you writing this code? Now, I would like to do some changes over here. Now, collection size is LST HRs dot size. Okay. Then we are going to be iterating that. If LST HRs is not empty, that means if the collection is not empty, then I would like to iterate the collection from starting to ending. Now tell me how can we iterate now? In the right side, we are specifying that collection name. In the left side, we need to define a variable. What is the variable name? Hiring manager type. Hiring manager underscore underscore C, some HR. And then we can show each and every record field value. Okay. Hiring manager ID is, I would like to specify HR dot ID. System dot debug name. HR dot name. System dot debug email ID. HR dot email. System dot debug contact number. System dot debug PAN number. And then I want to show that line break. Okay. So now this is the class which we have prepared here. Okay. So this is the class. Inside my class, I have prepared the method to collect all the hiring manager records from my object, and I'm able to display those records by using that for loop. Now tell me, do we have any chance to optimize this code? Tell me what is that optimization technique? I want to reduce this number of lines of code. How? System.debug. Okay. Inside the for loop, SOQL query. Now, in this case here, for example, see. Now here what we did, we are preparing the SOQL query. Okay. The query will be collecting the data. That data I'm storing inside my collection by defining a collection. Now this collection I'm passing to my for loop over here. Now in this case, instead of using this lengthy process, why can't we substitute this particular SOQL query inside that the collection name? Can we do like that? Can we specify? Yes, there is a possibility. So no need to specify this collection separately here. Just I'm going to be replacing this part. Okay. So now this entire part I'm going to be removing here. I don't want that. Why? That's what. Let me coming to the point here. Now, so now inside this, inside the for loop, I'm going to be specifying the SOQL query. Whenever I'm specifying this SOQL query inside the for loop, what will happen is, now when you're trying to be executing this code, it will go to the for loop first. In that for loop, it will be using that SOQL query. Whatever the query that you have specified, the query will be executing first. Okay, the query will be executing first. Once the query has been executed, whatever the records have been written by the query, it will collect all the records, placing inside the temporary memory here. Okay, it will placing inside that temporary memory. From that temporary memory, it is collecting each and every record one by one, one by one, one by one. That means what? Even though I'm writing that SOQL query inside the for loop, that SOQL query will execute only once. Only first time the query will be getting executed, then it will collect the data. Data will be storing inside the temporary memory. From the temporary memory, it will collect every record. That each record will be storing inside the HR variable. From there, we can able to display that. Second time, it won't execute this query. It will collect the data from the temporary memory, storing inside the HR variable. It will be displaying that information to you. So that we can write that SOQL queries inside that for loop also. There is a possibility here. Okay, there is a second way of writing SOQL queries. Because here in this case, what is the optimization is, if I'm writing the code like this, like as the previous one, now I'm writing the query separately. That query returns some records, like some 600 records, we are storing inside the collection. To store that 600 records, it is occupying more memory, right? Yes, we are wasting that memory unnecessarily here. Okay, we are wasting that memory because here we are collecting the data, storing inside the collection. Collection will occupy some memory to store those 630 records, and then that collection we are iterating here. But in this case, what we did, we have used any collections over here? No. So no need to maintain any collection, no need to allocate any memory, so that we can reduce the memory consumption here. So that if the memory is less, then automatically application performance will be getting improved. So in this case, whenever we are going to preparing the SOQL query, as a first style, we are going to be writing the query separately, maintain your own collection, and we can display the data by using that collection. As a second style, we can able to write the SOQL query inside the for loop itself directly here. Okay, we can write that. Which one? Here query returning some 1000 records also no problem for me. Right. Yes, right. Because here, now in this case, whenever I'm writing this SOQL query, this query may be returning one record, multiple records, I don't know. Okay, at that time, even though the query may be returning one record, for example, let me explain both the cases over here. Now this query is returning only one record over here. Okay, this query is returning only one record over here. Now that record will be storing inside the temporary memory. That record it will be collecting, it will be storing inside the HR variable. From there we can able to display. When you go to the temporary memory, no more records, only one record is there. So now record has been getting visible, it will be coming out from the for loop automatically by default. That is the first case. In the second case, for example, this query has written some 5 records over here. It will collect all the 5 records, storing inside the temporary memory. It will store inside that temporary memory. Then it will go to the temporary memory, collect the first record, storing inside that HR variable. Now we are displaying that information here. Once that for loop has been getting executed once, nothing but first record has been visible, then it will go to the temporary memory again, collect the second record, placing inside the HR variable, it will display that. Like that, this process will be keep on iterated till all the records have been iterated available inside the temporary memory here. Okay, clear? Depends upon the number of records this query, SOQL query returns, those many number of time the for loop will be getting iterated. Okay, suppose for example, you can raise a question. Sir, this query has written only 0 records because my table is empty. No records are there. At that time, it will be iterating how many times? 0 times. Query will execute, but nothing has been written because table is empty. So there is no records are available inside the table. So it returns 0 records, so that nothing is there. So it won't iterate that one. Simply it will be coming out from the block automatically here. Okay, it can able to handle all the cases internally. Okay, clear? See one thing here. Now that's the point here. Now good question. So now in this case, we are not writing SOQL query within the for loop here. We get the for loop part. Within the for loop, we are not writing. Okay, now inside that, okay, upon preparing the SO for loop itself, we are preparing that query. This part will be executing only once. This part will be executing number of times over here. Okay, in this block, we can't write that SOQL query. Okay, clear? Understood the concept? Yeah. Still not clarified. Okay, now. So now here in this case here, now let's see. Let me explain on the board here so that you can understand more. For example, I'm using that for loop. Inside this for loop, I'm writing the SOQL code. For example, I'm collecting the data from the account tab, so that I'm writing the SOQL code. Select ID of the account record, name of the account record, rating value, industry, annual revenue from account. Okay, this is the for loop. Okay. So now inside that for loop, I'm writing this SOQL code. Whenever I'm writing a query inside that for loop, now first of all, Salesforce is going to be executing this SOQL code. Whatever the query is available, the query will be executed. For example, inside my account object, I'm having one record. Now the query will be returning one record. The record will be placing inside the temporary. Presume that this is the temporary. This temporary memory is also called as heap. For every transaction, Salesforce is allocating that 6 MB of heap. Salesforce is allocating 6 MB of heap memory will be allocating by the Salesforce by default for every transaction. In that 6 MB of memory, your record will be getting stored. Whatever the record that you have prepared, the record will be storing inside this temporary. My record ID, record some 001467. Name is Sandra. Rating some art. And then industry some banking. And then annual revenue some 40,000. Records will be getting stored. Now, once the query has been executed, the query will be getting collected. The query record will be storing inside my temporary memory. Now, this temporary memory address will be storing inside this space. It will be storing inside this space. Okay. Now, from there, what I need to do, I need to collect this each and every record. For that one, what is this record? Account record. So that here I am going to be collecting that. Now, what the for loop will do is, once the query has been getting executed, okay, once the query has been executed, first of all, it will verify whether the user has specified a collection or SOQL code. Okay, user has specified the collection over here or SOQL code. If the user has specified the collection, directly it will go to the collections memory space over. Okay. Now, suppose if the user did not specify the collection, if the user has specified one specific SOQL query, then it will execute this SOQL query. Okay. It will execute the query, collect the data, storing inside the temporary memory. The memory address will be placing over. From there, it will collect the first record. Once the record has been getting collected, the first record will be placing inside that variable ACC. From there, you can able to display the value. ACC.id, ACC.name, ACC.rating. Like that, here we can able to fetch each and every record information. Okay. For example, Now here in this case, query has been written only one. Okay. Understood this concept here? Up to this one. For example, come to the second case. If the query has returned two records, now you will be having multiple records. Second record 001489. Now this is some Kumar. Rating some code. Industry some energy. Annual revenue some 70,000. These are the terms. At that time, what it will do is, once the query has been getting executed, whatever the records are available, records will be getting collected, storing inside the temporary memory. Once the records are been stored inside the temporary memory starting address will be storing inside the W. From there, it will go to the temporary memory, collect the first record, storing inside the ACC. So we can able to get the data, we can display. Once it has been done, it will go to that the temporary memory again. Now previously first record has been collected. Now it will collect the second record, storing inside the ACC variable. We can store it. Like that, we can able to direct starting to execution. Okay. Yeah. Right. Now query is not executing, right? Query is executing first time. Okay, once the records have been getting collected, placing inside the memory, then this temporary memory will be keep on iterating over. Not the query. Okay? Every time we will collecting the data from the temporary. Clear? Understood the concept here? Now, let me explain the second case. For example, let me explain the normal case here, whatever we have found. Depends upon the number of records, depends upon the record size. Each record will be having maximum of 2 KB, not more than that. We will be getting the same size. Okay? We are having the size of 6 MB space. Inside that 3 memory. For the synchronous 6 MB, for the asynchronous 12 MB. Okay? Now let's come to the first scenario, whatever we have implemented. In this case, we can using the collection operation. Now, so now I'm going to be writing an SOQL query. Select ID of that account, name of that account, rating value, industry, active status, type, from account. I'm preparing this SOQL query. What are the records are being written by this query? I'm storing inside the collection. List of account. Okay. So once this query has been getting executed, it will collect the data. The data will be storing inside the collection. Where this collection will get decided, collection will be storing that inside the temporary. Collection will be storing inside the temporary. That means inside your heap memory, now this temporary memory, this collection will be getting stored. Whatever the records have been getting written, all the records will be stored inside the temporary memory. For example, it's returning 3 records. ID value 001 The name is some R. And the rating value is some R. Industry is some energy. And then active status some yes. Type some prospect. Second record 001871. And the rating name is some account 2. Rating is industry value. Active status yes. And this is also the prospect. Third one 001 75. And then this is some account rating value some R. Industry some energy. Active status yes. And then type value is prospect. Now, whatever the records are available, it will collect the records from the object storing inside the collection. Ultimately, the collection is going to storing inside the temporary memory. Now, the temporary memory will be having the starting memory address. Now, once the records are available, how we are iterating this collection here? We are going to that for each and every record from my collection. What is the collection name? LST. Every record will be of type what? ACC. Now we are collecting the record. Now in this case, whenever I am using this for loop, now the for loop will go to the right side to verify what the user has mentioned. He has mentioned the collection, he has mentioned the SOQL. The user has mentioned that collection. That means the collection is holding some records. When it is available, the collection will be holding the address of the starting memory address. It will go to the starting memory. Okay, the memory address will be available. Then it will go to the starting memory address, collect the first record information. That record will be storing inside the variable basis. From there, you can display SEC.id, SEC.name. Once the record information has been getting visible, it will go to the second record. First record has been collected, it will collect the second record, displaying to the store inside the variable, we can display the third record. Like that will be calculated. Okay. So upon executing the for loop, it will verify whether the user has mentioned a collection or he has mentioned a SOQL query. If it is a collection, directly it is collecting the data from the temporary memory. Suppose if the user has mentioned an SOQL query, it will execute that SOQL query first, placing the records inside the temporary memory. From there, it will pick up each and every record. Okay, these are the order of execution. Clear? Understood the concept here? Which one?
Means while displaying the temporary memory records, it will display the 3072 records.
Okay. Not only 3072 because upon fetching the data, okay, whenever you are collecting the data from that object, you are not putting all the records information. Okay. Suppose if you are collecting all the data also, Salesforce is allocating maximum of 2 KB for each record, not for the other. But here we are not collecting the whole information over here. Okay. We are not collecting that whole information inside. Okay. So that here, whenever you are collecting the data, we are specifying some columns information. That's what here we are having that heap memory says is very less is available to you. That's what here. Don't fetch all the unnecessary columns information. Please fetch only the required columns information by using SOQL queries. Okay. Here. Okay. Now. So this is the second way of writing SOQL queries. Instead of holding the records inside that collection separately, we can able to reduce that size also by writing that SOQL query inside your for loop itself directly here. That possibility is available. Okay, clear? Now, let's see the third style now. So write an Apex program to fetch all the case records from the object and store in the form of map collection. And store in the form of map collection. I want the records in the form of map. Now tell me how can we achieve this? Okay. Now tell me how can we write this piece of code?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So now tell me how can we store this resultant records in the form of a map collection? What we can do? Okay. Key set. Okay. Okay. We need to define a map collection where the key will be ID of that case record, value will be the complete case record. Now tell me how can we write that piece of code? Tell me the code for me. Okay. I need to create a map collection. Map of ID comma case. Map cases. New map of ID comma case. Okay. Now. Then my map collection is ready, but the collection is empty right now. What I need to do? Size by size is empty, right? Just now we have defined the map collection. Okay. Write the SOQL query. Okay. Because here the collection and the map collection is ready with me. In order to store the records, in order to add the records, we need to collect the records first, right? For that one, I'm going to preparing an SOQL query. Okay, SOQL query. For example, I'm writing that query: select ID, name, and then I would like to collect that case number and the description of the case, type of the case, priority, and the status of the case from the case object. Okay, I'm collecting the details from the case object now. Now the query will be returning the result in the form of what? List collection. List of what? Case. LST cases. Because these records are case records, so it is returning the result in the form of list of case. Now my records are available inside my list collection. How can we move this record from the list collection to map collection? How can we copy these records from list to map? Because I want the records in the form of map, not in the form of list. What we can do? Clone in the sense it will be creating a copy of another list collection again. It will be copying this records, it will be preparing one more list collection, but I don't want list, I want map. Then what we can do? Once the records are available inside my collection, list collection, I need to copy these records from list to map. Then what needs to be done? Get each and every record from that list collection. For each and every case record from list of cases. Now I am collecting each and every case record. Now how can we get the ID of the case record now? CS.ID. How to get the complete case record? Simply CS. Now you know key, you know value. How to add this one into your map collection? How to add an element to the map collection? Okay, map cases dot. What is the method now? Method to add an element to the map collection. Put method, right? In this put method, what we need to supply? CS dot ID CS. Okay, we are passing this one here. That means what happened? First of all, we need to collect that records by using that SOQL query, store inside a collection. Or else, as a second format, you can copy this SOQL query, you can place in this place also, no problem here. Get those records and then store inside the collection, and then iterate that collection from starting to ending, and then add this record into my map collection. We have defined a map collection separately. Inside this map collection, we are adding the record by passing the key and the value both. So that once all the records have been mapped to the map collection, then we can able to remove this collection over here by making it as null or by using clear method also here. Okay, clear? This is one mechanism generally here. Now, if you want to implement an optimized way, then simply what we can do is just you can copy this SOQL query, paste inside that map collection. That's it, done. This one line of code is sufficient. Okay. Generally, whenever if you want to copy the data from the list to map, then this is the process we have to follow. First of all, collect the records here by making an SOQL query, get the records, store inside your list collection, and then collect each and every record from the collection by iterating that with the help of for loop, get each and every record details, and then prepare your own map collection, add every element by using put method. But if you want to eliminate this entire process, simply we can able to remove this whole code. Just this single line of code is sufficient automatically. Okay. So now in this case, what will happen is now whenever you are trying to be executing this code, automatically first of all it will be trying to be executing the default constructor. In the default constructor, it is having the SOQL query. It will execute the query, collect that record, storing inside the temporary memory. Once the records are there inside the temporary memory, it will collect each record, adding into the map collection by using put method one by one automatically here by default. The sender process will be doing the Salesforce for you automatically here if you are writing a single line of code. Okay, clear? Understood the concept here? Now for loop we can able to write independently also. We can write that SOQL query independently. We can write the SOQL query inside the for loop also. We can write the SOQL query inside that map collection also. These are the three different ways to write that SOQL queries. Okay, clear? It is collecting the data here. Now we are having that ID comma case. We are defining that map collection. So once the query has been getting executed, now internally Salesforce will collect the ID of this case record here, and it will be collecting the whole case information also with including all the columns. It will be collecting the ID of that case record. That case record will be passing in the keys place, and then the whole record will be passing at the values place automatically here. Okay. No. Okay, general format we have to take it as a list collection first. Okay, in the general format here. Okay, in the general format what we need to do, this is the format we have to do. Okay, generally come to that general process here. First of all, we have to write the SOQL query, collect the data, store inside your list collection, and then iterate that collection from starting to ending, and then add every record to that map collection over here. This is the general process we have to do. If you want to eliminate this much of lengthy process, then simply we can able to write this entire code in one way here. Just you can able to define the map collection. Inside that map collection constructor, just you can write that SOQL query also. Now this code both are same, no change. But that is a blind process. This is an optimized process here. That's it. This one. As a best practice here, whenever if you need the records in the form of a map collection, then write that SOQL query inside that map collection always. Okay, don't write that lengthy code because Salesforce is keep on counting the characters. For that reason here, as a best practice, always we have to go with that optimized mechanisms. So we are writing that SOQL query inside that map collection constructor directly. Okay, clear? Clear? Now, so let me explain that here process. Let me go to that implementation process here. So what is my requirement now? I want to collect all the case records, and then we can able to store in the form of map collection. Now, so let's see. If the records are available in the form of map, how can we get those records? How can we display? Okay, let me show you practically here. Now, I'm preparing the method. Public static void get all case records. Get all case records. I'm preparing the map collection. Map of ID comma case. I'm indicating that cases map equals to new map of ID comma case. So now inside this map collection class constructor, I'm preparing the SOQL query. Select the ID of the case record, case number, case subject, case type, priority, origin, status from case object. Now the case records are collecting from the object, and these records will be storing in the form of map collection. If you want to show those case records, you can able to display that system.debug case collection size. Cases map dot size. I want to show the case records. Cases map. We can able to show that case records also. Okay. I would like to write some more code also here. Okay. Just have written how to collect, how to store, how to display. I will show you that code also. Okay. Now I'm collecting the case records by using the SOQL query. That SOQL query I'm writing inside this map collection. Automatically, the map collection will collect each and every case record. It will be adding into that cases map automatically one by one. So let me call this a method. Now, it will collect all the case records available inside the object, and those records will be getting visible to you. Select the debug only checkbox. Now it is indicating the collection size is 27. 27 case records are there. This is the first case record ID. This is the case record ID here. And then the case record values are ID and the case number, subject, and everything here. That means what? This is the key. Let me copy this one. See. So now it is collecting the case records R. This is the first case record over here. This is the first case record with all the values up to this part. Okay, that is the starting braces. This is the ending braces over here. Up to this part, one case record. This is the second case record here. Up to this part here. Okay. Now, when you observe this case record, you will be having the this is the ID. ID will be the key. This is the ID. This is the key of the record here. Inside that case record, you will be having the case record value. That means complete case record is available here. This is the idea of that case record, nothing but the key. This is the value. Value means what? Complete case record, which will be including the case record ID again inside that here. Okay. ID, case number, subject of the case, and then type of the case, priority, origin, and the status. Everything is available. Then second case record, comma. Second case record. This is the case ID. That invert. This is the key. And this is the value over here. This is the value, the complete case record. Like the similar way, the third case record here. And then this is the key, and this is the value here. Like that, will be holding all the case records one by one. Okay, clear? Now, so in this case, whenever I'm using that map collection directly, inside the map collection, it is going to be adding the case record ID as the key and the complete case record as the values over here. Okay, this is the internal format of map collection to you. Now, I want to display that case record information. I want to display that each and every case record separately. Now how can we display here? It is showing that complete record details like as one by one like that. I want to show every value separately in a separate row. Then how can we iterate this one? First of all, we have to verify whether the map collection is empty or not. Cases map dot is empty. If the collection is not empty, then how can we iterate that? What you want to display? Case records. Now, so now I'm using that for loop. Next. Now tell me what is that we need to specify here. Cases map. What you want to display here? I want to display the case records. Where the case records are available inside my map? In the keys place or in the values place? Values place. How can we get all the values? By using what method? Values method. Okay. Values method means what? It will collect all the cases. That means simply it will be ignoring this part over here. It will be ignoring this part. Okay. It will ignore this part. Only that case records it will collect over here. Only the case records it will collect. From that case record, we can able to iterate that here. Each and every case record, CS. Then we can display that information. System.debug, case record ID. CS.id. System.debug, case number. Case status. Like that, we can able to collect each and every information. Clear? We can write that SOQL query inside the for loop, or we can write the SOQL query inside that map collection also by default. So now automatically it will collect all the records available inside my object by using that SOQL query, place the records inside the temporary memory. From there, it will collect every record. It will be adding into my map collection automatically by default. Once the records have been stored inside the map collection, I would like to verify whether this collection is empty or not. If it is not empty, I want to display that only the case record details. To get that case record detail, that means I want only that case records information. To get only the values part, I'm using the method called as values method. Cases map dot values. That means only those case records which are available, okay, inside my collection in the form of list collection. Because here values method is returning the records in the form of list. Now we are iterating that list collection. We are collecting each and every record we can able to display, okay, by using that system.debug statement inside this. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So as of now, we have discussed how can we query the data from the objects. It may be standard, it may be custom object also. And how can we represent the data on my debug log file by using the various methods. So we have used that the list collection also in order to hold those records. And as a second mechanism, we can able to write that SOQL queries inside the for loop also. And as a third mechanism, we can write that SOQL query inside that map collection also directly here. Okay, these are the three ways are available in order to write your own SOQL queries. Okay, so as of now, we have prepared some SOQL queries, which will be collecting all the data available inside my object. Whatever the records are available inside my object, all the records has been written by that SOQL query. But sometimes I want to restrict the number of records. I don't want all, I want only some records here. So at that time, whenever if you want to filter out the records, okay, which has to be get written from the database, then we have to use the classes. So now Salesforce has given so many classes, okay, which we can able to use to apply the filters, to add your user defined conditions so that we can able to filter out the result set records. Instead of returning all the records available inside the object, we can return only those records which are required for you, and we can filter the records by adding these classes. Then how to apply these classes? Now let's see practically one by one. Okay, now each class will see one by one. The first class, limit class. Let's see the limit class here. So what exactly the limit class basically? Okay, list class is used to indicate how many number of records the query has to return. Generally, whenever I'm writing a query like this, for example, select ID, name from account. I'm writing the query like this here. Now this query returns how many records? All the records. Up to what? What is the maximum? 50,000. Up to maximum of 50,000 records it will return. For example, I'm having my account object here. In my account object, I'm having some 20 records. Now, when you execute this query, how many records the query will return? 20 records. Suppose if my object is having 200 records, then 200 records. If my object is having 2000 records, it will return all the 2000 records here. But I want all. I want only 2 records. I want only 1 record. I want only 5 records. I want only 10 records. Like that, we can restrict that number of records to be returned. So how many number of records my query has to return, that we can indicate. So for that one, we are using that class called as limit class. Limit class is used to indicate how many number of records the query has to return. Even though you may be having more number of records available inside the object, I don't want all. Please return only 1 record to me. Please return only 2 records to me. Please return only 5. Please return only 10 records to me. Like the 20 records, 100 records, whatever you want, we can specify. In order to restrict the number of records to be returned by the SOQL query, we are using this limit class. Okay, limit class is used to indicate how many number of records the query has to return, either 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever you can specify. Depends upon your requirement here. Okay, suppose for example here, if I'm using this limit class over here along with the SOQL query, if I'm using this limit class like as select ID comma name from account, I would like to use that limit class. I'm indicating limit 2. Now tell me how many records it will return now. Only 2 records. Even though I'm having 2000 records in my object, it will return 2 records. What 2 records? We don't know. Randomly it will pick up that record over here. Randomly it will pick up 2 records. Those records will be getting returns to you. Now, for example here, I'm writing that query like this here. Limit 1. How many records it will return now? Only 1 record. Now tell me, if the query returns only 1 record, how can we store? By defining what? A variable, account ACC. Okay. If the query returns only 1 record, then we can able to store that record by defining the variable of that associated type. For example here, assume that I'm having the query like this. This is my query. Then what we can do? How can we store? List collection, list of account. That means if it is more than 1, directly we can go with that list collections. It may be 2, 3, 5,000, 10,000, whatever, always list. If the query returns only one record, then we can able to store that record by defining the variable of that associated type. If the query returns more than one, we can go with that list collection. Okay, clear? Now make a note of this one. Limit class. This class is used to restrict the number of records to be written by the SOQL query. This clause is used to restrict the number of records to be written by the SOQL query. Now tell me, is this limit clause is a mandatory class or optional class? Optional class here. Okay, now this is an optional class in SOQL query. Now the syntax. We can specify the SOQL query and then we can specify the limit value. Limit, we can specify the integer. For example, limit 1, limit 5, limit 50, like that we can specify. How many number of records has to be get written by that SOQL query, that we can indicate with the help of that limit class. Suppose, for example, assume that I went to an ATM center. So when I go to that ATM center, I have swiped my card and then I selected the transaction as mini statement. Okay, mini statement. So now how many transaction entries will be getting visible to you? 5 or 10? The recently performed 10 transactions will be getting visible to inside the transaction slip. Okay, that means what? Even though you might have performed some thousands of transactions in the past, but it will return only the recently performed 10 transactions to you, not more than that. Like when you go to my Gmail application, upon click on that inbox, how many emails will be getting visible to you? 50. The recently received 50 emails are getting visible. Remaining will not be getting visible. That means here, even though you are having some thousands of emails inside your inbox, it won't display all. The recently received 50 emails will be getting visible. That means they have used that limit class in order to show the records. Okay. Now, clear? Understood the concept here? Now, so let's write that program here. Just write the query part, that's it. I don't want that complete program, just I want that query part, up to this part here. Only this part I want. Okay. Now, write an SOQL query to fetch 5 contact records from the object. Just write the query part, that's it. No need to write the complete program, because displaying the data is same everywhere. Now tell me the query here, what we can do. List of contact, LST contacts equals to, now tell me. Select ID of the contact record, first name, last name, email, title, phone, fax, from contact. Next, limit 5. That's it. Done? Now, the second one. Let's write one more query. Write an SOQL query to fetch only one user record from the object. Write an SOQL query to fetch only one user record from the object. Now tell me, how can we write this code now? Do we need to use list collection? No, simply user. I'm indicating that user record or some active user equals to, I'm collecting the user data. ID of that user record, first name of the user record, last name, title, department, division, username, is active, from user object. I want to use that limit class as 1. Which will be returning that only one user record. Even though you may be having multiple user records inside your user object, it will return only one user record. How to display this user record information? How to display? Okay, I want to verify if active user not equals to null. I want to display that user information. System.debug user ID. User ID is, I want to show that active user dot ID. System.debug username is active user dot username. System.debug active status is, I want to specify active user dot is active. That's it. Like the similar way. If it is a collection, we are using not empty method. If it is a single, we are using that not null. That means if this particular variable is not null, if it is having a user record, then only I'm collecting that user information here. Done? Done with this code? Got that information about this limit class? How to use this limit class? Okay. Now, the next one. The next class is all rows class. So what do you mean by this all rows class now? If I'm not using all rows class, also it is returning all records, then what is the use of this all rows class? Including deleted records also, right? Generally, whenever I'm going to be storing some records inside that object upon writing an SOQL query. Okay, for example, come to a scenario. Assume that I have an object. I'm having my lead object now. So this is the lead object that we have. In this lead object, I'm having some 50 records. I'm having 50 lead records inside my object. So now I'm collecting the data by making an SOQL query. For that one, I'm writing an SOQL query. Select ID of that lead, first name, last name, email, title from lead. I'm executing this SOQL query here. Now tell me how many records this query will return to me now. Now this query is going to be returning 50 records to me. Okay, it returns 50 records. It returns 50 records as the result. Okay. So whatever the 50 records are available inside my lead object, all those 50 records will be returned as a result here. Okay. Now, so from this, out of these 50 records, I'm deleting some 5 records. Deleted 5 records. I'm deleting the 5 records. Now tell me how many records will be there in my object now? 45. Now if I'm executing this SOQL query, how many records it will return now? It will return only 45 lead records to me here. It returns 45 records. That means after deleting that 5 records, once the 5 records has been getting deleted, when you try to execute this SOQL query, the SOQL query will return only those records which has been available inside my object. Deleted records will not be visible to you, only that currently present records available inside the object will be getting returns to you. So only those 45 records will be getting visible. Okay, but sometimes I want the complete of 50 records. I want those records here. Whatever the records are available inside my object, including the deleted records also. Then what we can do? In this case, we have to use a class called as all rows class. Okay, all rows class. By using those all rows class, we can able to get the data from the object which are currently present inside the object, including deleted records also. Okay, including deleted records also. If you want to fetch the data, then we have to use that class called as all rows class. Now tell me, whenever it is showing all the 50 records to me, from that one, how can we differentiate which is the deleted one, which is the not deleted one? Is a deleted column. You know that already we have discussed. In every object, Salesforce is maintaining one additional column called as is deleted. Is a deleted column. Suppose if it is having the value equals to true, that means what? This record is a deleted record. Suppose if it is having the value as false, that means what? Record is not a deleted one. Record is currently present inside that object. Whenever I'm going to be executing any SOQL query is going to be collecting only those lead records, only those records whose is the deleted field value equals to false. If you want to get the deleted records also, then we are using this all rows class. All rows class is going to be collecting the data whose records is deleted value equals to true as well as false, both. Okay, based on that is a deleted column, we can recognize which record is a deleted one, which record is a not deleted one here. Okay, clear? Now make a note of this one. By using this class, we can fetch the records from the object, including deleted records. Including deleted records. Including deleted records. Yes, right. Only those records available inside the recycle bin, only those will be available. Suppose if the deleted record is older than 15 days, automatically Salesforce will be removing permanently here. Those records will not be available. Okay. Now, the syntax. We can specify the SOQL query along with that keyword, all those. We can identify the deleted records by using is deleted field value. Where is deleted equals to true. That means a record is a deleted record. Is deleted equals to false. Not a deleted one. Export all. That export all internally using this all rows class, nothing else. Same query. Because whenever you are using the data loader also, upon selecting the columns to fetch, it will preparing the query. Same concept. Done? Now, let me show you a practical example. How can we use this all rows class? If I'm using this normal query, what will happen? If I'm using all rows class, what will happen? Both let me show you practically. So let me take an object here. Okay. So now here I'm using this position object to collect the records from my object here. Okay. Now, let me show you a practical example. I'm preparing a method, public static void get export all positions. Okay, export all positions. I would like to fetch all the position records. I'm collecting the list collection, list of position underscore underscore C. Or else we can able to write this inside the for loop also, no problem. I'm writing the for loop here. For loop, each and every position record. Now I'm writing the SOQL query. Select ID of the position, name, location of the position record, and the position status, maximum budget, and the milestone date, comma is deleted from position. Okay, I'm collecting the position records information here by writing that SOQL query inside my for loop. I'm displaying the position record. position record is, I want to show that position record. So what is the problem here? No such column location. The column name is location name here. So now here in this case, I'm collecting all the position records available inside my object. Like I'm collecting the position record ID, name, name of that location, position status, maximum budget, milestone date, and then I'm fetching the data of is the deleted column also. Now I'm executing this one. Now tell me what records it will return right now to me. Only those records which are available inside the object are including deleted records. Only records available inside the object, because I haven't used any all rows class. Let me execute this one. How many records it will return to me? Let's see first. Okay. So now let me execute this method. Export all positions. Now click on execute. Request has been sent to the server. It is returning all the records. Select the debug only checkbox. We can able to see all the records are available here. So now how many records it has written? How can we count? When you go to that debug log file at the last, you can able to see that. How many SOQL queries we have used now? 1. How many records it has written? 12 records. Out of what? 50,000. Okay. Now let's see that. So we are having 12 records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 12 records. All the 12 records. Now it is indicating that is a deleted column equals to what? False. That means only those records which are not deleted one. Okay. Now, for example, here, assume that I'm removing some records from my object here. Okay. From this one, I would like to remove some objects over some records over here. Let me remove some records. SAP HR consultant, I'm removing this guy. Click on delete. I've removed one record. Next, one more record. QTP test engineer, I'm removing this record. And then Apex developer, I'm removing this record also. 3 records I have removed. Whatever the records that I have removed, those records will be moving to the recycle bin. Now, so now from my position object, how many records are there? Only 3 records are available. Okay, we are having only 3 records are available from my position object. These are the 3 position records are available, which we have removed right now. Okay, now let me execute this query. If I'm executing this query, how many records it will return right now? How many records? Previously we are having 12 records. Now 3 records I have removed right now. So how many records it will return? 9 records. Click on debug only. It is returning only 9 records. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Only 9 records have been returned. Whose is the deleted field? Sometimes, okay, sometimes I want all the records also, including deleted one. Then what we can do? We need to use that class called as all rows. Now, I'm using this class here. All rows. I'm using this class, all rows class. Now let's execute this query. How many records it will return right now? Now click on execute. Now tell me how many records it will return now? 12 records, including deleted one also. Select that debug only checkbox. Before that, let me verify. How many records it has written now? 12 records over here. Let's select that debug only checkbox. Now all the 12 records, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All the 12 records. From this, out of this 12 records, 3 records are deleted one. Which records are deleted one? We can find out here. Now these are all are okay. The records available inside my object. These are the 3 records which are available inside my recyclable here. All the records you can able to fetch, including deleted records also by using all rows class. Okay, clear? Yeah. Next class, for update class. So what is this for update class generally? Updating the records, no? No. Okay, we can put a lock also. Okay, right? Now, for example, assume that I'm having an object. I have an account object here. Okay, this is my account object. In my account object, I'm having few fields are available. So these are the columns are there inside my account object. So this is ID column, name column, industry, and the annual revenue. For example, this is some active status. Okay. So these are the 4 fields are available inside my object. In my object, I'm having some records. Okay, I'm having some records. First record ID 001345. Name is some RAM. Industry some banking. Active status some yes. Second record 001456. This name is some Pavan. Industry some energy. Active status yes. 001567. This record name is some Sandeep. It is from education. Active status yes. 3 records are there. Inside my object, I'm having 3 records are there. Now in my organization, 2 users are also available here. Okay, I have 2 users. So he is the user 1. And then I'm having one more user also. 2 users are there. User 1 and the user 2. two users are available inside my organization. So now here in this case, these users are performing some operation on my records. So now the user one is trying to be updating this record here. Okay, user one is updating the record. He is updating the record. At the same time, okay, at the same time, the user two is deleting this record also here. At the same time, the user two is deleting the record. Now what will happen in this case? This kind of situation is called as what? That means what? Two users are performing different operations on the same record at the same time. This kind of situation is called as what generally? When multiple users are trying to be performing the different operations on the same record at the same time, what will happen? Okay, then suppose there is no concept of locking mechanism now in this case. Okay, then in this case what will happen? Conflict operation here. So at that time, this kind of situation is called as deadlock situation. Okay, it is called as deadlock situation here. So deadlock means what? The system can't decide what operation has to be get considered first. Both the users are performing the operations on the same record. Okay, both the users are performing the operations on the same record. At that time, my system cannot able to handle. My system cannot decide which operation needs to be get considered first. So that in this case, this kind of situation is called as deadlock situation. Then how can we handle this kind of deadlock situation? To avoid this kind of deadlock situations, we are using a feature called as synchronization. Okay, we are using a feature called as synchronization. With the help of synchronization, we can able to avoid the deadlock situations here. Okay, we can avoid the deadlock situation. If the deadlock is happened, automatically system will hang. System can't respond. System can't perform any operations over here. We need to restart that system again here. Okay, so now in this kind of situation, to avoid this kind of deadlock situations, we are using a feature called as synchronization. Synchronization means what? Synchronous. Synchronous means what? Sequential. That means one by one, one by one. Don't allow to perform both the users operation on the same record at the same time. Let them complete one by one over here. Okay, let them perform the operation one by one. Then how can we allow the people one by one? Suppose if one person is performing the operation, how can we stop the second user over here? In this case, on that particular record, we need to apply the lock over here. Okay, I need to apply lock. For that one here, by using that synchronization, we are going to be avoiding this kind of deadlock situations by using that locking mechanism. Okay, with the help of the locking mechanism, we are going to be avoiding this kind of problems over here. Then how to apply the lock on my record here? Whenever I'm going to be performing some operations on my record, then other people can't perform some different operation. Let me complete my operation first. Once my operation has been done, lock will be getting released, then other people can access that record here. So now how to apply the lock on the record? For that one, we are using a class called as for update class. That means I have accessed the record, I'm utilizing the record, I'm collecting the record to update that. Let me complete my update operation. In this meantime, if other people are accessing the record, then they will get the old data here. Because once they access the data, then immediately within fraction of seconds, I'm updating some values over here. Then you won't get the latest information. You will be having old data. So because of that, there is some confusions will be getting arised. To avoid this kind of conflicts here, please wait for some time. Let me complete my update operation. Then you will get the latest data here. I need to stop that. For that one, we are using this kind of locking mechanism here. Now, for example, let's see the similar kind of situations. Whenever I'm reserving any bus ticket or movie ticket, once I select the ticket seat over here, then the seat will be in the locking state for the next 8 minutes. Okay, for the next 8 minutes or 9 minutes, the seat will be in the locking state here. Other people can't select here. Okay, like as a double entry over there. Multiple people can't occupy the same seat. Okay, multiple people can't occupy the same seats here. Once a person has selected the seat will be in the locking state for the next 8 minutes. So now once the 8 minutes are over, within this 8 minutes, the person has to complete his transaction. If he is unable to complete the transaction, automatically, once the 8 minutes are over, automatically lock will be getting released. Other people can select that seat also. So in this case, in order to apply the lock on that particular record, we are using that class called as for update class over here. Okay, by using for update class, we can able to apply the locks on your record. Once your transaction is over, once your operation is over, automatically lock will be getting released. Okay, clear? Now, in this case, when coming to the entry point of, it is a common question. How to apply the locks on your record in Salesforce? We can apply the locks on the record by using for update class. Upon fetching the data by using select statement, use the class for update. So now whatever the records it has collected through select statement, and those records it is applying the locks here, so other users can't perform any other operation. Once your execution has been done, automatically lock will be getting released. Okay, clear? Now make a note on this one here. By using this feature, we can apply the lock on the record. So the other users can't perform the operations on the same record. Once the transaction is over, Salesforce will release the lock automatically. Once the transaction is over, Salesforce will release the lock automatically. Then the record will be available for the other users. Syntax, we can able to use the SOQL query, and then we can use for update. For example, I'm fetching the data. List of account, select ID, name, annual revenue, active status, comma phone, fax, from account for update. No priority. When if you are performing the operation in your local system, but here we are not performing anything in our local. Okay, that's right. Yes. First come, first serve order. Same. Okay. So we have few more classes are available. We'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss about the few more classes like as offset class. We are going to be discussing about that. One more class called as order by class, and then where class. In that where class, we are discussing multiple scenarios also. How to pass that condition value at runtime, we'll see practically. How to use in operator, how to use like operators also, how to use pattern matching algorithms also, we'll see by using regular expressions.